Afternoon, colleagues. It's gone 2 o'clock, so I'll start the meeting. Welcome to the meeting of the Environment Sustainability PDSP of West Lothian Council. I'm Councillor Tom Conn and I chair this PDSP. This meeting is being broadcast live and a recording will be made available afterwards through the Council's website. I'm being assisted today by David Moles, Head of Operational Services, and colleagues from Committee Services and IT. Attendees may be joining the meeting from another location. Everything said whilst microphones are live will be broadcast and recorded. Members are asked to be polite, respectful and patient. There is more information, including a privacy statement about meeting arrangements, on the Council's website. An agenda has been published showing the business for today's meeting. I will introduce each item and usually a council officer will briefly speak about their report before councillors ask questions, have a discussion and make any decisions that are required. Councillors may leave the meeting from time to time where they have declared interests that prevent them taking part. There will be a pause while that happens and will be invited back in for the next item of business. If the meeting is a long one, then it may be adjourned temporarily for a meal break or a comfort break. I will say if that is going to happen. Can we have apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies this afternoon from Councillor Pearson, who's substituted by Councillor Tony Boyle, and also from Councillor Smith, who's substituted by Councillor Orr. And Chair, we also have a substitute for our Joint Forum representative. John Sivis is joining us this afternoon. And just for completeness, Chair, our third sector representative has joined us remotely.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Don't see any indications. Order of business is as previously circulated. Could we confirm the draft minute of the meeting held on Tuesday, 10th of June? Thank you. Item 5, West Lothian Climate Action Network. There will be a presentation by Graham Clark.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank you for the invite today to present West Lothian Climate Action Network and what we've been up to and doing, and what we're planning on going ahead. So, thank you. Sorry, apologies. Okay, thank you. Right, just to start off with our mission. Our mission is basically to secure a sustainable future for our region and our members of the network within West Lothian. And part of that is to educate on climate change. And you'll see as we go through the slides, we've done an awful lot of work in training and development to try and support that, and also to promote and support adaptations and solutions to some of the challenges that we are facing. And some of those are activities like affordable green energy, developing resilient communities, creating opportunities for a sustainable future. Our staff, we've from all the cans across Scotland, we've probably got the smallest number of staff within it at the moment. But we've got 2.5 members of staff, and really, again, when we look at some of the activities, we've done an incredible amount of work over the past year and a half. And we've got 6 board members also. We are going to be increasing the board membership, and we are looking to getting some youth people on the board as well to support that, which would be really quite exciting going ahead. Okay, so what we said we would do, really, it's really about raising awareness and influencing climate action policy across the region and working to support community-led action. We've been working with a huge network of groups across the region, which we'll just talk about in a minute, and supporting them as well to be able to develop their green activities and their climate changes as well. And also develop a financially sustainable future for the community to enjoy the benefits of climate action and alleviate energy poverty, because we're working on energy as well. The membership group is in excess of 80 now, which is well ahead of the original target that we had, which is really good to engage so many people. And it's across the whole region, so we have membership in the network from every ward within West Lothian, which is really encouraging as well. Groups like CDTs, community councils, education, energy groups are all involved in developing the future with us together as a group. And as you can see, if you look at the geographical distribution across the region, we have covered the region. And as I say, you'll see later on that we have actually supported every ward, so that there is sort of action and activities going on in every ward to support the WellCan vision and mission. The development fund, we've been, a group for almost 2 years now, and we've spent almost £68,000 over 3 rounds in developing community-led projects, and that's really quite exciting, because it's we've had groups from across the whole region applying for funding and successful in funding for the projects, and developed quite a lot of different things. And the sort of activities, 41 local network members projects were funded over that 3-round period, and we're just about to start round 4. And this year, just if you're interested, that's we're going to be putting £20,000 towards that this year as well. So that will kind of boost that activity as well, hopefully. So things like improving blue-green space, woodlands, biodiversity, community gardens, eco-land. And we've done a lot in training, and particularly in the communities and within our network opportunities and schools, and try to engage young people as well, which has been quite positive. And the last one on the slide there is developing and promoting citizen science and more. We did I'll just briefly say this, but a quick project with one of the networks on electrostatic stimulation for plant growth. And they were doing that as a development project. And the results are starting to come through now. It's very positive. And the great thing about that is we will start to get the data that we can share with other organisations that are growing, hopefully start to grow bigger and better and faster. So that's very, very positive. And also we're working with Sylvie Bio. They're a network group. They're doing research into compost, because compost is a big challenge at the moment, because without peat it doesn't retain the water so well. So they're working with 2 or 3 of our groups to actually develop and to try out some of the products. So that's actually helping develop compost for the future. And the orchard, the community orchard fruit trees initiative was very, very positive, and we'll continue doing that, because we have planted many, many trees and been able to support that across the region. Just a quick slide on the funding and how it's been spent over the first 3 years. A lot of the funding has been spent on purchasing equipment, materials, etc., to set up a lot of additional groups and support. So that's kind of the positive outcome. That is, we've got many, many more people developing and producing things within their community groups. The first round was very heavy on purchasing materials, etc., but it was obviously to set up, and now it's starting to ease off and move towards other opportunities as we move forward. Project funding, we've just, it's just to give an idea of across the different themes, biodiversity all the way through to water saving. These are all the different projects that were funded, and they're all important in their own right when trying to develop our environmental programmes. So there's been really, really good support across all those areas, and we've been able to fund each and every one of them. If you look at the funding per ward, let's just give an idea of where the money has gone in all the wards in West Lothian. So they have all benefited from them. It's always trying to encourage people to try and apply for the next funding. So hopefully we'll be able to spread that even further next time. And other groups might get different things, and new groups coming on board. The SMID groups, we just looked at some statistics, and there's where the funding went. If you look at the Quintal group across West Lothian, and it wasn't a surprise, but it was really interesting to see how it was spread across these different groups within the region, and areas where we might be able to try and support and develop a bit further in the future. Climate training, we've done a lot of training, fresh training, which is an international recognised training course, which our staff are trained to be able to deliver. That's been very successful. It's really looking at climate change and actions and things that groups could do. We've done tailored sessions for groups, net zero training, cycling. We did some cycling training and for people on the bikes to be able to fix them and maintain them themselves and make sure they're okay for safety. So there's a lot of work across different climate training opportunities. And that's all delivered from in-house. Events, Again, we've done many events across the region in the 2 years, covering all the areas that we wanted to: food, water, energy. And we've had annual networks. Great thing about the networks is an opportunity to try and get people working together within networks, which is the next stage of our development, to try and get the networks working together, supporting one another as well within their development and training and their sustainability going forward. Work with Climate Action East Scotland to look at some focus stories and adaptations that we've got in order to develop things further. And we've had summits on climate change, local meetings, workshops, events, training throughout the year. So there's been a lot of training going on this first 2 years, which we hope to continue because it's really, really positive, and it's helping the network groups and the communities to develop their own skills further. Strategy and development work, we've obviously done all our work and research on things and supported and looked at development plans, citizen panel climate surveys, our own survey, and supported some of the community developments as well in order to be able to work together, because it is all about the community working together and us working with them. There's a bit in Winchburgh train station on community energy. We're looking at community energy as well within Winchburgh going forward to see what the feasibility is of that. Newsletter, you can see it online every month. There's a newsletter updating all the different activities that are going on, all the different opportunities that there have been. It'll go out this month, hopefully with the successful candidates as well who've applied for, groups rather, who have applied for funding, so that you can see who's doing what within that. Finally, just thumbs up for the future. We're kind of looking at green energy going forward. We're doing some feasibility studies at the moment, starting them to look at community energy projects. Nature restoration is very big on the agenda as well, to try and work with groups to provide some support nature restoration across West Lothian. Looking at sustainability within the groups, within the organisations, to try and support how they sustain the future, not just financially, but also the things that they can do to change or support and develop their climate action work, and engage the youth a lot more. We are going to start working, we have been working with schools and the colleges. We're going to continue developing that, and hopefully would like to get a youth group going, particularly in education, and try and get them to support the community plans as well. So our job is to support and persuade people that they can do more, and we will going forward. The final slide is just about planet. I mean, I do think it's a beautiful world, but it's not too late to keep it beautiful, because we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham, and that was within the 10 minutes, so thank you for that. Well done. Colleagues, are there any questions to Graham? Councillor Boyle.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Graham. Could you elaborate a bit on the Winchburgh train station and community energy project, please?
We're doing some feasibility studies on community energy projects across the region, and it's in partnership with 2 other regions, East and Mid Lothian. And it's looking at the feasibility, and the funding that we've got is to look at feasibilities. And the next step is, if we have at least 2 feasible projects, we can then apply for funding, support those projects in developing. So it's looking at community energy projects or energy projects within organisations, so that we can try and support the development. And once we get a structure together for being able to do that, we're hoping to develop that to be able to take it forward, and then future projects would be much, much easier to instigate.
It's the fact that it says Winchburgh train station.
Well, just that they're working with they've included that as part of their development and looking at transport strategy across the...
Sorry, who has included it as a development?
Well, West Lothian Climate Action Network, when we're having discussions, we're looking at the transport across the region. That's one of the things that keep coming up with all the network groups and the regional groups. They keep talking about transport, and we're just looking to see how that works along with the transport on their behalf, working with them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? Councillor Mannion, Susan? No, we'll get there. Just hold that thought. Are there any other questions? Are there any comments? Councillor Mannion, Susan?
Yeah, getting ahead of myself. It was just to thank you for the presentation. It's really clear and really helpful, informative. And it just struck me that within all the information that we've got about climate change, as has been highlighted in here, there's been work done with the Community Planning Partnership to net zero, and there's three pieces of work there that have been highlighted, and I think that's a really good example of how we can work together across the whole of the sort of public and third sector with the same aim. So I'm just wondering if we could be thinking about how we can include the Community Planning Partnership in some of the other areas around climate change, and just look for the opportunities there. So it's just a kind of comment that perhaps that's what we could be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Graham, can I thank you for your presentation and to the PDSP and the width of projects which you're undertaking, and also the community involvement, which is part of your network, which I think you mentioned earlier on about knitting them all together. I think that is a challenge in itself, where clearly different communities have different challenges as far as climate issues are concerned. But I think the participation and being inclusive will help us move things forward within West Lothian and within communities. And I think the work that your organisation has done so far, and I have to know, I should have maybe said that I do know some of the suspects, including Neil, Mr. Barnes. I know Neil well from Linlithgow, so I do get my ear bent from time to time by Neil. So so from that perspective as well, it keeps us informed. But as far as your presentation, can I again thank you for your presentation today. And I'm sure that panel members appreciate the involvement of the community groups that you've highlighted. Thank you. I was going to say, Graham, you can either stay or leave. It's up to you. Feel free. Okay. Item 5 item 6, quarterly climate change update. Peter Rogers. Peter.
Thanks, Chair. The purpose of this report is to present to the panel the latest quarterly climate change update and to provide an update on the work undertaken to meet the actions in the Council's climate change strategy. Chair, Section D2 provides a summary of the strategy progress report, which is attached as Appendix 1. D3 provides a summary of the latest seasonal update from the Met Office, which shows that 2025 was officially the warmest summer on record for the UK, and also notes some of the other issues that have led to that, including the significant increase in wildfires across Scotland this year. Section D4 introduces the findings of the Regional Climate Risks and Opportunities Assessment that some members may be aware of. This is the first phase of the Climate Ready South East Scotland project, and there's a briefing for decision makers summarising the findings for West Lothian specifically attached as Appendix 2. And finally, Chair, Section D5 highlights some of the results from a recent LHEAS public consultation exercise that we carried out. Fairly limited number of responses received to that, but certainly the ones that we did get backed up the information that we received from the Citizens Panel Climate Change Survey that was carried out towards the end of last year. And I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thanks, Peter. Are there any questions? Councillor Alison.
Thanks, Chair. And thanks, Peter. On D3, when it talks about the average running costs on street lamps, in the year 22-23, the actual using the figures that have been given here, the actual spend was £22.06, which is nearly half of what it is costing today. So what happened in that period? Because when you look at the other figures, 24-25, the actual spend was 41, 23-24 was 33, but then 22-23 was only 22, and yet the previous year it was 27, and in 2021 it was 31. So what happened in that year that made the cost per unit cheaper?
Right.
Councillor Adamson, I'm not sure that that's in my paper.
Well, have I got the wrong agenda number?
Apologies.
It's paper,
Well, that's
paper 6, quarterly climate.
D3,
I think you're in paper 7.
page 3 top.
Yeah, but we're on paper 6.
Oh, my complete apologies. I don't have a paper. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Performance.
Oh, sorry. Oh, well, can you keep that one for later? That'll save me repeating myself.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. No wonder you were looking so surprised. Okay, well, Chair, if I may, I do actually have... I did think it was a bit strange that you were doing this. You know, energy saving, yes. My apologies, Chair. May I have another question for the correct paper?
We'll have a light bulb moment there, but maybe... Yeah, sorry, your question on this paper?
Yes, definitely. Right, I've got two. Thank you. It's in reference to page 12, T6A. I'm just going to double check that I have got it, yes. It actually says that the council will continue to signpost individuals and organisations to relevant funding to support the move to electric vehicles. And my question is, I know this has already been approved, what help can be given and have considerations been made for helping people who wish to begin using electric vehicles, but because of planning legislation, because of health and safety reasons that are often cited, they cannot take the cable from their house to their street parking area. And since a lot of houses don't have designated street parking, what work is being done to be able to enable people to move on to this? Because I've already had a few inquiries, and apparently there are some new companies who are saying, oh yeah, we can do this and it's not a problem. And the first obstacle people face is that people are not allowed to take a cable under the pavement. So is work being done on that? And can you give any information, please?
It's helpful that I've got my two colleagues sitting next to me, that if I get this wrong, or if they want to add anything like to what I say in response to that, they can. Yeah, there is work happening at the moment. There's two things happening in tandem, I suppose. We have Scots, which is the transportation group of senior officers who are looking at creating some guidance for this. But there's also a pilot project that's been set up by the Scottish Government looking at pavement gullies in particular. I think there is obviously a degree of concern over any of these solutions around a number of issues like long-term maintenance, like liability, if there was any kind of trip or fall hazards that were introduced to pavements, and any additional street furniture that could create issues around pavement use, particularly for those that might have issues with sight or might require mobility aids to access services. So there is work happening on that. I think more broadly, the EV procurement exercise, the concession contract exercise is moving forward at pace at the moment. Transport Scotland announced the overall funding pot for that just last week, and there's around, I think it's around £6 million, just under that, for the region as a whole, and that will lead to a significant increase in the public charging network within close proximity, as was previously approved by Council Executive, within close proximity, and particularly the areas that don't have significant access to off-street parking. So there is a lot of work going on to support it, some of which won't come to fruition immediately, but certainly in the kind of medium term, we'd like to see the benefits of that coming forward.
Right, thank you.
Alison, does that answer your question?
Well, following on from that, the £6 million funding pot for the region, when you say region, is that like Lothian region or West Lothian region?
It's a regional pot, so it's a collaboration. I think there was a paper to Council Executive at the end of May on the collaboration. It's been led by City of Edinburgh Council, but the other ones that are involved are West Lothian, Falkirk, Clacks, Fife, Mid Lothian, Scottish Borders and Dumfries and Galloway. And that pot of funding is a combined pot for all the authorities.
Right, so the actual amount that would probably come to West Lothian when we're up against the likes of Edinburgh would be
actually
not great.
It was set out in the paper previously, our funding pot, so it was decided by Transport Scotland on the basis of the additional support that would be required. So because Edinburgh's charging network is likely to be more financially self-sustaining in the short term, they need less support. So West Lothian's allocation was around 520,000. I don't know the exact figure, but it was around that number, so it was quite a significant proportion of the overall fund.
That's encouraging. Right, thank you. And may I have a second question, please, Chair? Thank you. It's in relation to page 14, and it's the middle of the paper where it says frontline operatives will be encouraged to check and tag bins as appropriate in line with current policy. And I know it was talking about the pilot project that was being carried out in Armadale and Linlithgow, but I just want to check, are the frontline operatives still keeping a record of bins that are regularly being contaminated or refused?
David?
Thank you, Chair. So in terms of that specific action set out in the paper, you'll note that that's noted as completed in April 2024. That was indeed the pilot work that we did that targeted Linlithgow Bridge and Armadale. But to answer your question, Councillor, yes, our waste collection crews still routinely tag bins that they are noticing as being contaminated.
Right. The reason I was asking, and I understand what you mean about it being a completed job, but since that was the trial project to find out, you know, how things are going to work in the wider community, I just wanted to make sure that lessons were learned from that and that there is a record still being kept. It wasn't just for the pilot; it is an ongoing action. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Alison. Councillor Mannion, Susan.
Sorry, I didn't as I was reorganising my papers, I think I've inadvertently.
Okay. Any other questions? Peter, could I just get a bit of clarification on the answer you gave to Councillor Adamson? Edinburgh's involvement is the lead authority, so actually by being part of that, we're actually getting the benefit because we don't have to go through a separate procurement process. So there is benefits of being part of a bigger consortium, for a better description.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely safe to say, Chair. Not only the kind of benefits in terms of scale that Edinburgh City offers and the kind of commercial attractiveness of that proposition to the wider market, but also, as you've suggested, from the kind of Edinburgh have been taking forward, for example, the main elements of the procurement work, although others have picked up some of the legal work and other aspects of it. But if we didn't do it in this collaboration, you would effectively have 8 authorities that would all have to be doing the same exercise at the same time due to the ending of the Charge Place Scotland network operators contract at the end of next year. So yes, we would all be pushed to do the same thing. This allows us to benefit from a wide range of aspects to the contract, including those economies of scale and economies of workforce management.
Thanks, Peter. Alison, I limited to two. I'd say two questions, or did you say two questions?
T1A and my question is, I realise that it's been to council executive, but it says that West Lothian Council was awarded £241,000 through as funding as part of the bus infrastructure fund. But my question is, will the spend on this be taken, the decisions be taken by officers, or would there be an opportunity for community councils or local members to be able to offer their suggestions at any point, or is the money already allocated? It's page 5, T1A.
Nicola, yeah. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. Gordon, you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. The money's been allocated and officers have highlighted schemes that will be going forward for this, but they're subject to approval.
Yeah, I think this is what's been up to the council executive just at the last meeting, where there was £241,000 allocated and projects identified. So that's a work in progress in that respect, Alison. But what was part of that paper was that officers were to do a ward by ward, settlement by settlement audit of existing bus infrastructure, shelters, bus type of situation on an ongoing basis. The reason why this money came up to the council executive was it was effectively sort of time driven. We had to spend the money by a certain time. So it was officers already had been reported to them as issues regarding the bus infrastructure, that they put that forward and costed it and got that figure of 241,000, and that's been approved by the council executive. But going forward, there's an audit being conducted, as I say, ward by ward, settlement by settlement, and clearly there will be local consultations with local groups, community council included.
Okay, but this spend was purely on officers' recommendations only, is what you're saying?
It was on projects which officers had.
No, that was just I was just wanting to clarify that. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Are there any, question? Sorry, okay, so you weren't read.
In relation to the flood risk, notice that the data in here is provided in relation to where we are around the flood risk. One of the things that has been raised with me by a constituent was the fact that their house insurance had been changed in the light of a change in the flood risk category. So I just wondered, is there anything available to the public about flood risk, therefore understanding what the position is within each of the communities?
Peter?
I'm not aware of anything specific, and I'm happy to go away and pick that up. But I know that SEPA do publish flood risk management maps, which are publicly available online. So individuals, if they want to check their own individual area, can go on and have a look at that. Insurance companies will obviously make their decisions based on risk and around, proximity to water courses and culverts and a number of other factors. But yeah, I'm happy to take that away and see if there is anything else that the members of the public can access.
If it's something specific regarding your constituent, maybe speak offline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Be that specific rather than just general, if
that's fine. Can do that, Chair.
It's Peter. Are there any other questions? Are there any comments? Again, Peter, thank you for the report. Item 7, performance report, full year 2025. Sorry, 24-25. David Mull. David.
Thank you, Chair. The report provides panel members with an update on the 2024-25 performance indicators that fall under the remit of this panel. Of the 31 indicators highlighted in the report, 27 are green, meaning that they are meeting or surpassing the performance target set, and only 4 are currently highlighted as red compared to 11 in the previous year. Commentary on the 4 red PIs is included in section D.3 of the report, and details of all the individual PIs are included in appendices 1 and 2. Chair, my management team and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions, Alison?
You've had time to think about it. So it's with reference to page 3 and it's D3, and we have a list of actual spends from 24-25 back to 2021. But my query is this: in 22-23, the figure of £22 is mentioned. Now that's nearly half what the figure for this period is. What in particular, when you look at the figures either side of it, what in particular happened at that point to make the running costs so much cheaper? What influenced that outcome?
Gordon Brown.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. What we've got to remember about this PI, it's a cost per unit, so it's a cost per individual lighting column. The fluctuations that happened, there's no particular reason why this happened, but there is varying factors which affect the price per unit. Things like the electricity consumption. Obviously, there was a reduction with the implementation of the LED programme, which did see a reduction in energy used. However, the fluctuation in materials such as the price of columns, the price of cables, excavation, traffic management, all impacts on the price per unit, and that's why we'd see the fluctuations in the different periods of costing.
Okay, so it wasn't as a result of some magical formula on the electricity consumption that we were getting a special deal that year and not for any other year. I'm trying to remember. No, that wouldn't have been around COVID time either. It's just purely because it's such a big difference. Do you see what I mean from the other figures that are there? And I know that the rollout of the LED lighting was still very much in evidence during those years as well. But yeah, okay, it is what it is. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm afraid so. Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's on page 3 in reference to the brown bins. I'm delighted to see that there's a 4.1% increase in the commingled food and garden waste collections. But my query and my question is, has there been any further, are we any further forward in having funding given by the Scottish Government to help reduce the need for having to pay for permits for brown bins?
David.
Chair, I can confirm there's been no confirmation from the Scottish Government.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any comments? Thank you. Paper 8, 2024-25 Financial Performance, Month 12 Monitoring Report. Claire.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide an update on the 24-25 financial position of the portfolio of services covered by this PDSP. Month 12 revenue outturn position for the portfolio was an underspend of £319,000. This formed part of the overall council budget position reported to Council Executive on the 24th of June 2025. The report at section D3 will detail the key variances. Month 12 capital outturn position for the portfolio was an underspend of 4.5 million. The report, again at section D4, details the key variances. The report also includes the latest performance information on the portfolio, which is the 23-24 benchmarking results. The 24-25 cost information for benchmarking is currently being collated and will be available by the Improvement Service later in 2025. Chair, I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Thank you, Claire.
Welcome.
You, Nicola Gill. Nicola?
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. The purpose of this report is to present to the panel the outcome of the recommendations of the Transport Review undertaken as part of Workstream 2. Members may recall a previous report in March 2023 which outlined the key objectives of Workstream 2 and the need for a strategic review to develop a vision for an effective and efficient network in West Lothian. Further details of the review objectives and the tasks that were undertaken are outlined in section D2 of the report. One of the key drivers for undertaking the review at that time was the significant instability in the local bus network, and this was following the pandemic and the subsequent national driver shortage. Passengers were experiencing significant issues with reliability, with short notice cancellation of services and the overall reduction of the network. However, since 2023, the commercial network has stabilised and has seen elements of passenger growth. And although this may alter slightly the requirements and the focus of the review, the outcomes and the recommendations still provide good insight into possible future development opportunities. Section D3 and D4 of the report provide detail on the passenger engagement exercise and the network gap analysis that was undertaken, the outcome of which have been used to consider both the areas for possible intervention as well as the appropriateness of alternative transport models. Section D5 provides an assessment of the alternative delivery options that we explored within the review, and this includes things like using the existing fleet to fill smaller gaps within the network, consideration of council fleet for all of our local subsidised services, as well as community engagement models and lead operator models. Section 6 provides an overview of the review of the current public transport strategy. The review concluded that the core policies and the key performance indicators that are central to the strategy remain relevant and do provide a useful tool for identifying funding priorities. However, it was felt that the current strategy doesn't provide that vision or that strategic direction for passenger transport in West Lothian. Therefore, one of the key recommendations of the review is to progress work on a local transport strategy, linking in other local strategies, but also the regional and national transport strategies as well. Details of an analysis of sustainable school transport is available within section D7. This is a high-level analysis of the accessibility of school journeys on the local bus network under a set of key parameters. Although the results of the analysis demonstrate that public transport links are available for some of the home-to-school travel journeys, further work is required to review the specific walking routes and the infrastructure within each local area. I've outlined and summarised all of the recommendations, Chair, that have come from the review in section D8 of the report. I appreciate the report is very lengthy and the appendices also are lengthy, and it's a lot of information perhaps to take in, so I've tried to fight my natural urges to go into too much detail, but of course I'd be happy to take any questions or provide any detail on request.
Thank you, Nicola. Are there any questions, colleagues? Councillor Adamson, Alison?
Is there nobody else here today? Right, thanks, Chair. Yes, thanks, Nicola. I know that a lot has changed just in the past few days, and there's a lot of things being put in position and people are getting used to the new timetables. The direct service Fauldhouse to Bathgate, I never realised that Fauldhouse was so cut off from the rest of the area. But when I'm looking at the various areas and the percentages, it mentions Whitburn, it mentions Fauldhouse. There's no mention about Longridge, which of course would be served by a bus from from Fauldhouse going to Whitburn. And for whatever reason, Longridge, which although it has a Bathgate postcode, it has no direct connection to Bathgate, which would be the nearest town. So are there any, does the private operator have any plans to relook at this area, to fill the gap? And especially, I know there had been problems at one point in Fauldhouse, but I believe they were resolved. So is there anything new that might be getting looked at, shall we say, for that particular area?
So, Chair, a couple of points in there that I'll try to work through. So I think initially part of the review and undertaking the passenger engagement exercise and then the network gap analysis is important to do that together. And that's ultimately due to the point that Councillor Adamson has raised, is that although we can look at where our current strategy seeks to have transport corridors and available options, and perhaps where the local operators are filling that doesn't necessarily then explain exactly where passengers want to go. And as much as bus services can't be everything to everyone, it is important to try to start to understand where those key travel destinations are. So Fauldhouse does have a bus service. They can travel through all the way to Livingston and on to Winchborough. However, if there are people that are then looking for that direct link to Bathgate, although the options are available, the direct service isn't there. So I think that's been key in the review that we're doing. I think we have to then undertake a revised passenger engagement exercise, as there has been so much change on the network, and that's really to try to understand if these areas of direction of travel are still relevant. And although I wouldn't be in a position to say whether or not the commercial operators and what their plans would be, I can absolutely confirm that not only the results of this review, but that any future engagement that we take as part of the recommendations is absolutely fed back to those operators and asked that they take that into consideration in their future reviews.
Thank you. I know that we always assume that people are able to look at things online, and I saw something recently about bus stops not having any information. Can I confirm, just confirm or check with you, when it comes to publishing the bus timetables and when there are changes, because it takes a while for changes to bed in, who would be responsible for putting the information into the bus shelters?
So I can confirm, Chair, that at this time that remains the responsibility of the council, albeit we do on occasion take support from commercial operators to resource that. So when we're building up to a significant network change, such as the one that happened on the 7th of September, the printing is done in advance of that with a view to all shelters having revised information in place for that change. I would ask that if there was ever an occasion whereby we had seen particular areas or bus stops where that hadn't happened, that was reported to my service and we would deal with that on an individual basis.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thanks, Alison. Any other questions? Are there any comments? Councillor Meek. Craig?
Thanks very much, Chair. Just want to welcome the dialogue that officers are having with the operators, in particular the services within the ward, and I was delighted to see the extensions that there were on the actual new timetables, and also delighted to see that Bathgate is an option from Fauldhouse on the new timetables. So thank you. Thanks for all the work you are doing.
Thank you, Craig. Councillor Adamson. Alison?
Yes, thank you. Also, I just want to welcome the new services. I know that, as I've just said, it takes a while for people to get used to it, but certainly in my ward, Livingston Village is absolutely delighted that they have a bus running through the village again. And I want to pay tribute to not only the people who asked and made a case for Lothian to consider it. But I also want to say thank you to the officers who were working behind the scenes, who were doing work which couldn't be made known until the commercial operator had decided that, you know, this was something they could do. And, you know, it's quite annoying, to say the least, that a lot of people were taking political back slaps for managing to get the service reinstated when it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was nothing to do with them, but there was pressure from all angles. But ultimately, it was the bus users who requested support, and they got support from West Lothian Council, officers who were working with the commercial operator, and I know that was how that came about. So thank you very much for that. I also welcome the fact that there's an in-depth analysis of the sustainable school transport options. The money, which is something like £1,200 per pupil for pupil transport, that money being paid towards a commercial operator to operate services, I think could make a big difference to a lot of communities as well. So I'm hoping that that kind of analysis will reap some kind of benefits and also bring in some savings, because although young people do have free bus travel, it doesn't work on the school bus system. The Young Scot card doesn't work on the school buses, basically, is what I'm saying. So it has to come out of a transport budget from education. So it would be good to see some kind of savings made, but not at the expense of young people not being able to get buses. So I know you'll be working on that. So thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, comments, I beg your pardon. Councillor Mannion, Susan.
Thank you, Chair. I'll get the hang of this eventually. Again, just to reiterate Councillor Adamson's points about the importance of the joint working between council officers and the private companies. We know that it is a really difficult task given the nature of the financial environment and how the bus companies operate. So it is testament to the persistence and endurance of officers working with the bus companies. I have to particularly note, of course, the very welcome instigation of the bus service directly from Armadale into Livingston. That had not been a direct service there for a very long time, and already noted that we would like to do some work to, if we possibly can, to take it out to Blackridge if at all possible, because that's not that far. But it is, thanks again for all the hard work, and it is appreciated by the local community, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, can I thank you, Nicola, for the paper. The bus industry has gone through a period of, well, challenges, not necessarily their making. The COVID clearly had an impact on people's having confidence to use public transport. And going back to using buses has taken a period of time. The recent reports which have been up at Council Executive have highlighted that there have been increased passenger numbers on the routes which are available, which I think shows confidence in the bus operators and access to buses. I think, though, that has to be recognised that there is a lot of work to be done, and I think this paper helps to start us working through what needs to be done, and a change of attitude in some respects. of how buses are actually treated as part of public transport network. We heard earlier about climate change and etc. And one of the Scottish Government's policies is to get people from car use and to reduce car use. But we need an alternative. We're simply just having a policy of saying that we need to have a reliable public transport network, whether it's bus or rail, and that has to be done through investment. And any investment would be welcome. To touch on Councillor Adamson's point about school transport, some of what's been suggested in the paper in some respects is to bring different public funding together to actually produce a better public transport service that people have confidence in using. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's okay giving under 22s free bus travel and over 60s free bus travel, but if there's no bus to get access to, then it's worthless. So we need to use the resources that we've got differently and better to encourage people to use public transport. And that includes comments which are directed to the council, what we should be doing, but bearing in mind that Transport Scotland Act 1985 actually limits what councils can actually do and provide, where there is a commercial operator. And the financial restrictions which we currently have limits the support that we can give to public transport, where we can extend routes, as Councillor Mannion was suggesting, to communities which are a short distance away from where a bus route actually exists. So I think there is much to do, but I think this paper helps having that discussion, that wider discussion with our communities, and hopefully as well with the Scottish Government, of how we continue to develop a strategy which encourages people to use public transport. So again, Nicola, thank you for the paper. We look forward to ongoing reports. Paper 10, feasibility into use of bin straps, clips on household bins. Scott Anderson, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this was a request by PDSP to come back to PDSP panel, on the wheelie bin straps and clips implementation for West Lothian residents. The recommendation today is to note the feasibility work undertaken by officers into the use of bin straps and clips in securing the household wheel bins. Note that we had 19 respondents to the survey and only 2 Scottish local authorities responded, noting that they approved the use of bin clips. And the note that 4 Scottish local authority respondents noted incidents of health and safety taking place that caused them concern. And finally, to note that the basis of the safety and the cost of concerns that the officers in recycling and waste do not recommend the use of bin straps. To take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions? Councillor R. Pauline.
Thanks, Chair. Just a 2 or 3 wee questions, Scott, just to clarify a couple of things, if that's okay. At the bottom of page 3, the cost of the bin crews, is that just the cost of the bin crews? I don't see any mention in there about the cost of clips or straps, which I didn't ask for, so I just wanted to make sure that that price was just for the additional time and the change of routes, etc. Just to be clear.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the costings there is for the vehicle crews and the vehicles themselves.
Okay. On the same page, just at the suitability for West Lothian Council bins, only lids with handles can be secured safely with the straps or clips. I know that there are several types of different wheelie bins, so is that just associated with the specific type of bin that we have in West Lothian Council? Is that bin straps and clips at the current time are not suitable. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think I can answer that, Chair. In terms of the bins used in West Lothian Council, we purchase bins through the Scotland Excel procurement framework, and in detailing best value, it's not always the same manufacturer the bins are supplied from, so they do vary on the lid sense, and that not all bins have got the same two handles on it. Some have got a finger grip, so it's difficult that the bins don't all have the same two handles on it, or the bin clips to fit every bin in West Lothian.
And just question, comment, don't know if this, because I've got a comment as well, but just to note that I really do welcome the detail of the safety concerns here, that we've used an example to demonstrate what the issues would be, and I think for all stakeholders concerned, that's a good point. That's all I have.
Thanks, Pauline. Any other questions? Can I ask one which I find a bit contradictory in a sense? Two local authorities who responded, am I right in saying that your policy also seems to be that whilst they would allow bin straps or clips, as long as the clips are removed prior to the vehicle and crew attending to empty the resident's bin? So, if the bins are presented at 7 o'clock, as in West Lothian, on a hurricane day, as an example, and if the purpose is to stop waste from being blown over the place, if the requirement is to remove the bin strap as presented early in the morning, it could be getting presented and causing the same problem that we're trying to resolve because of that policy. Is it working against what the bin strap is supposed to be trying to prevent? Am I reading that right?
No, you've read that correct, yeah. The local authorities do recommend or do stipulate the removal of the bin clip prior to the service emptying the bins.
Right. Okay. Right. Thanks, Scott. Sorry. Aye. Okay, colleagues, if there's no other questions, are there any comments? Councillor or Pauline?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to thank the officers and David and Scott for the work that they've done on this, because it really has just brought into the public domain the positives and the negatives. As I say, we've got the examples of why there would be safety concern with straps, which is, you know, absolutely fine. And of course, I'm disappointed in the outcome, as of course West Lothian litter pickers will be. But I do recognise that it was a difficult one, and it was just, you know, to say thank you again for actually undertaking the investigation and bringing the result of that work to Council today. So thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, comments? I would echo Councillor Orr's comments. I think the paper does cover issues which might initially not have been a thought as part of the idea of a bin strap, which on the face of it is sensible, to secure bins, lids in windy weather. I think not only just the cost, but perhaps more importantly, as well as cost, it's the health and safety issues as far as staff are concerned, and introducing work systems or apparatus which actually increase the danger of operatives working. I think the fact it's been highlighted in this report that it's a consideration that we need to take into account is helpful as far as the report is concerned. So I would ask and the panel if they would note the recommendations and of the 4 recommendations set out in the paper. Takes us to paper 11, Accident Investigation and Prevention Casualty Reduction Programme. Kenneth Brown.
The purpose of our report is to seek the approval for the list of proposed prioritised casualty reduction schemes for the 25-26 programme. Should the panel agree, we will submit the list to the next Council Executive meeting. Sections D1 to D3 of the report outline how officers have selected the proposed schemes. By using a data-driven approach to identify proven casualty problems, we can ensure good value for money and make a significant contribution to casualty reduction. The schemes for the 25-26 programme can be found in Appendix 2. One thing I would like to clarify is the location for the second scheme. It should have read A706 southwards from the main street to Whitburn to Dixon Terrace. It's slightly longer than the stretch on the report there. Section D4 provides details of Transport Scotland's Road Safety Improvement Fund. In 24-25, we used this money to install traffic signals at the junction of the A801 and the A706, close to the Avon Gorge. In the 3 years prior to the signals being installed, there were 7 recorded accidents, which resulted in 11 casualties. I'm pleased to confirm that since these lights were installed, there has been no further reported injury accidents. In June 2024, residents of Glen Crescent submitted a petition requesting traffic calming measures to the Council Executive. Officers from the Road Safety Team investigated this along with this year's Accident Investigation and Prevention Programme. The results of that investigation can be found in Appendix 3. I would be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Kenneth. Are there any questions? No questions. Are there any comments? Councillor Orr, Pauline.
Thanks, Chair. Again, I do welcome these measures being put in place, in particular along the roads in my ward, which is the B8046 and B9080. But I do still have reservations that it won't be enough to alleviate to any great degree the speed of the vehicles that come over that particular area, and which is what I get, and probably the other ward councillors get a lot of issues and concerns about. And I wonder if, as a consideration, there is work due to be done shortly on the 20th of October on the C91, which is going to mean that traffic is going to migrate in that direction to get up to Livingston, if there's an opportunity there to monitor the traffic, because it'll be busier than normal, just to kind of assess the speed and whatever of the traffic is there, and work alongside Police Scotland. But as I say, I really do welcome the measures that are being put in place. I just do have concerns that there'll be enough. Thank you.
Just a wee clarification. You said the C91, the C19.
C19, you're right. I wrote it down. I was dyslexic when I wrote it down there, Tom.
Well, I thought that's what you meant, but...
Yeah, Man's Road to Dechman.
Yes, yes. Thanks, yeah. Okay. I certainly would welcome the report fairly as an ongoing basis. We've identified issues where identified remedial works need to be carried out, and it was interesting to read as far as the Avon Gorge measure which has been put in there has already reduced the number of accidents, and hopefully that will continue, because, well, hopefully even further reduced, given that travellers are going to know that measures are in place. So take your point, Pauline, they will slow down, they will anticipate that. But equally, I think the point you've made about echo smacking, I think officers will bear that in mind, that clearly as a consequence. But equally, the measures that are put into echo smacking is for the longer term. Hopefully, on that basis, that try and hopefully mitigate any issues whilst works are taking place on the C19. But hopefully, drivers will pay attention, because it's not the vehicles that have accidents, it's the drivers. So that attitude change, we might see even better results. Okay, can we note the recommendation and intention to submit the paper to the Council Executive for approval? Thank you. Paper 12, Scottish Roadworks Commissioners Performance Review 2024-25. Kenneth.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of our report is to update the panel on the Scottish Roadworks Commissioners' Performance Review of West Lothian for 24-25, and note that we have been recognised as satisfactory. The Scottish Roadworks Commissioner monitors all roads authorities across Scotland with the aim of ensuring improved planning, coordination and quality of roadworks across Scotland. The results of the review can be found in appendices to the report. The Commissioner's letter draws our attention to 3 areas of improvement, and I can confirm that steps are well underway to address these, including individual training sessions with staff. Our utilities team will pay particular attention to the monitoring of these areas in the coming year. I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Kenneth. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? We note the paper. Thank you. It's just to item 13, the work plan. Can we note the work plan? That concludes today's business. Colleagues, thank you very much for your attendance.